For this video, I decided I wanted to do a mini-me, or a little model that would represent me, like you see in the corner right now. That is me. Hello. And right now I'm just sketching out a base that I can 3D model my mesh over, so it looks almost exactly like the sketch when I get to model it. That's pretty much it that I'm doing here. I also am doing little faces that I can do shape keys for. So when I make the mesh, I actually had a tutorial in mind that I watched a while ago about how to do like a mouth that you can, it's like the Sonic mouth, kind of like how his mouth stays the same mostly. And that's basically what I'm doing here. You just create a cube or whatever shape you want and copy paste it, and then add the holes on the outside one, and then add shrink wrap on the outside one to the inner one, so it keeps the shape. It just also, it looks like it has a mouth and a eyes, or whatever parts you want to have. And for the hair, I decided I want to make it some stylized hair. Instead of doing a pathway, which I probably could have achieved the same look with the same thing, but I wanted it to look blocky, so I opted out on the using the pathway, and instead I decided I wanted to use cubes and make them shaped like hair instead, so I can get this blockier, low poly look to the hair, I guess. For the torso, I was considering of scrapping the idea of having like a turtleneck sweater thingy, but I decided to keep that anyways. And for the legs, I'm trying something different. I was initially going to do a start with a cube and use that as hips to mold out the legs, but instead I decided to make two separate objects, a cylinder and a cube, or circle, and then just kind of painstakingly connect the two to make them look more like pants, and that's what I did here. And then I just extruded the center of it to make a belt, and then added a belt buckle. And for the elbow part things, I just made a little sphere with a little bit of detail, not a lot, but just a little bit of extrusion on the middle of it. And for the fingers, I used the array modifier, and then I rotated and moved them a little bit to make them look more like fingers. I probably, while making the fingers, I probably should have just made them point outwards a different way, but it made it a little bit more difficult by, just making them point down like that for the future, but I didn't really notice what I did there. And right now I'm doing the shape keys, so yeah. If you don't know what shape keys are like a kind of sculpture. So if you create one shape key, that's going to act as a base, and then continue the others, and then you have a new expression. Well, it doesn't have to be an expression. It's like animating, but you're skipping the bone part, basically. And instead of using shape keys on the entire thing, is because you can't have as much control during shape keys, at least during my experience of using them. But now I'm just making the rig, just a basic rig, really basic rig, just because I wanted it to be simple and not be as complex, because I have a plan for it. I was originally going to use weight paints on the weird wrist warmers, but I didn't, and it's a good thing that I didn't, because this video would be a lot longer if I decided to go out with that. And the reason why is because I'm really bad at weight paints. The legs is a part that I had my entirety of struggle on, but I eventually got to the point where it looked good enough. For the future, I'm probably going to do more complex models like this, where the parts are actually connected and not segmented, just so I can get better at weight painting. And now I'm setting up the IKs where instead of actually adding a cube over the hand and having the hand rotate as well, I actually just made the hands an IK, which is what I like doing with my models, so it's a little bit easier for me to get it done, and also just a little bit of a simpler process. Right here, I'm also doing the same thing I did in the last video where I was making one of my own characters, the cyborg guy, where basically laying it out, just like a colored sketch, I guess. And here I'm just adding the viewport's display colors so I can see the difference. And instead of actually adding a physical mesh onto the for the cheeks, I actually painted them on using a texture paint. I wanted to add texture to it, but I didn't know how to do that without spending an additional hour trying to figure it out. So I didn't. And I came across a cartoon shader on YouTube while looking for a texture to do to match with the face. So this one is actually one I really like. I'll post a video in the description, so you can also put the same shaders on it. I wanted to try to make it pixelated, so I tried learning some compositing. So I just set it on scaling it down and then scaling it back up to make it look more pixelated. That's pretty much it, and that's it for the video, and I hope you enjoyed, and this is the result.